What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How's everyone doing?
I'm swell.
Doing great over here.
Bunch of
Doing good.
legends. Bunch of
Wait,
legends
who-
we're surrounded with.
Who is that? Is there a new face?
What? You mean below me? Right here?
Yeah, who is that?
Hi.
That is our fourth host, my girlfriend, and just overall amazing human being, Hannah. Nexus was here. Can you give us an introduction?
Hi, I am Nexus. My real name's Hannah. Hi. Hello. I do things.
Things happen around here.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I think it would be worthwhile to reintroduce ourselves, given that it's the only the second episode.
Yeah, I
do you
feel like that'd
think?
be good. Yeah.
hmm
All right, I guess I'll go first because I brought it up. I'm Enigmatic Star. Y'all can call me Jake. I'm a supreme gamer overlord. I rule 600 real people in real life on my estate. And I lie about how many people I rule over. I stream Overwatch when I feel like it, and I like to write and take photos. What about you, Luigi?
Yes, I was hoping you would pick me next because it follows the format of Magic. So, next person up. Yeah, my name is Luigi. My gaming alias is Synapse. I am mainly a Halo player. You will see me playing Halo 3 and probably yelling at my teammates. But it's all good. It's all in good fun. I really enjoy doing graphic design work. That's my profession. Um, I also like to play Magic, as I was stating at the beginning of this. Um, yeah, that's basically all I like to do gaming wise currently. I do like to bounce back with older games. As you can probably see my background, the GameCube, Pokemon, mostly Yu-Gi-Oh here, and I will pass it on to Nexus. Wait, no, we will
Kenny.
go to Kenny. That's right, because Nexus, introduce yourself.
Thank you, guys. So my name is Kenny or Myth. This is my channel that we host this on. Twitch.tv/Mythorus if you guys want to watch live on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'm a variety streamer. I'm a meme. I do like Just Dance. I play Cuisine Royale, which I'm partnered with. I kind of just do anything on the channel. I like Magic as well. I grew up with Synapse or Luigi and Enigmatic or Jake. So we've known each other for a long time. What about
Too
you,
long.
Hannah? Too long, excuse me. Awesome.
So, like I said before, my name is Hannah. I mainly go by Nexus or Nexie. I am a future Animal Crossing New Horizons streamer. And I too am a huge fan of Magic. I have my whole collection right here to the side. And yeah, that's about it.
And these guys are all like they said, they're all streamers. They're all fantastic people. There's some shout outs going on in my chat right now on Twitch. Check them out if you guys haven't already. Follow their social medias. They should be pretty easy to find. I have everything attached, but yeah, guys. So what are we talking about this week? What are we doing? What have we seen?
I feel like I know you guys so well after that introduction.
I
I feel
know
like
you.
we're friends.
We're best friends now.
It's possible. I mean, you never know.
Anyways, I heard through the grapevine that Luigi wanted to share with us some special ideas.
Oh yeah, we have a pretty controversial topic, kind of going off a little bit what I talked about last week. It's just continuing on with games playability and what really makes people want to come back visiting a game that's already been released or just even playing it for the first time again. Some people like to go back and revisit those. Um, so I want to break it down into a few little segments here. Usually people will go back and play a game strictly for its plot, me included. One good series of that is the Jack and Daxter series, if anybody's ever heard of that.
Ooh.
Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, and those two games right there, Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, those got in remasters, right?
Yeah.
So basically, people are trying to get that revisit those moments in their childhood, right? What about you guys? What's like a remaster recently that you guys have said, "Oh my god, I'm going to play that and play through it"? And
So I'm noticing a theme with your games, and they seem to be like older games.
yes,
Like I'd say like late PS1, early PS2 generation.
exactly.
I think I agree with you that era of games is just so much easier to just run back to.
It
Mhm.
is.
I personally have a problem when I play games, and I like to get so much value out of a single playthrough, and
Mhm.
then I will never go back and replay it.
I have
I
that
like
same
don't
problem.
replay games, especially nowadays. When I was a kid, I think the game I probably replayed the most
Mhm.
was The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap.
Stop.
You,
Mm.
you could
Oh
zip
my
through that
God.
game in like 2 days. Wait, Kenny, you played it?
Dude, every single one of those games, honest to God. I have gone back and played Wind Waker so many times, or like Ocarina of Time. It's actually crack. Like you keep
yeah.
running back to it, dude.
It's so addicting.
And like of that series specifically, my personal favorite to go back to because it's probably the most difficult is Majora's Mask.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it's
Very good.
so hard to like, and you're literally constantly going back. So
Majora's Mask is an interesting one, because I feel like the sequence of events is repetitive anyways. So
Mhm.
going
Mhm.
back and replaying it doesn't really change the gameplay loop.
yeah.
Um, that's a game I actually did not play until the remaster came out, and even then, it took me like a year to pick it up.
And that's also a really good point that both you brought up, Nexus and Star, is that when the game is so difficult, right? And you want to go back and you kind of want to experience that difficulty, right? And like you said, you can go through a little bit of a different process every time you play it. And nowadays with games, I feel like they're like kind of force you to play the game how the developer really wanted you to play the game. And they don't really add too much on that. They'll just probably throw in a few DLCs and it's basically like the same exact formula. And I feel like all these game companies are really just copy pasting. I'm not necessarily going to say, every single game out there is like that, but I think you guys can agree with me on that, right? It's kind of like a similar formula each time.
I agree. But
Yeah. I think that like a lot of games nowadays, especially heavily story-based games, are developed to be almost played like a movie. Like you're
mhm.
supposed to go on this linear path, but I still don't necessarily think that that takes away from any of that replayability because is there really any issue unless it's a bad movie rewatching movies?
I
Like
think
it you still have that replayability,
I
but
think that's a good point. But just from my perspective as the type of gamer I am, I'm also not the type of person to rewatch movies.
Hmm.
So
that's fair.
when I like watch a movie, I like to think on it so much, and I'm super detail oriented. So there's a lot of times where I'll be looking for details constantly in the first run through of a game or a movie, and then I'll be so exhausted and I won't want to do it again because I saw everything. I'm such a completionist. I'm one and done, but I'm gonna do it. You
That's kind
know?
of the same way I am. Like, I won't rewatch movies unless they're like Scott Pilgrim. I've rewatched way too many times to count Star Wars, but like that's all I can think of. Like, I won't go back. I'll look at the details through these movies, and then I'll just kind of be done with them. Also, one thing I wanted to add to Hannah's thing is I know you're talking about like replayability in these new games. Dying Light 2. Just gonna
Ooh.
smack that on the table. Because anything you do in the game can change the course of the game, and even the devs said there is no single playthrough that is going to be the same as another one. So I
Oof,
mean,
you just broke the table.
I think
So
there's cool
if
things
you
to look
could
at there.
if you could brush me up and the people in chat are unfamiliar, what is the kind of system we're talking about here? Is it like a branching story, or what exactly?
It's a branching story into like 100 different mini stories, if that makes any sense. If anybody doesn't know, Dying Light is that like zombie parkour game. The world's taken over by zombies, but you're just this dude who only uses like melee weapons. Sometimes you get a weapon like a gun, but it's like just all parkour based, all like mobility based. Some of the zombies can chase you. It adds to the story, but going back to my main point, there's a main storyline to it, but there's mini quests that change the main storyline as you
Ooh.
do them. It's
Ooh.
really intricate.
That
So
reminds me of
It
some games I've done that.
it changes every single choice that you make will not only change the story, it completely changes the environment surrounding you.
yeah,
Like there's one that they even focus on a lot when they were even presenting the game initially that water is a very precious material, I guess, in the world of Dying Light. And so you can either make a trade and work with the people who are like hoarding the water, but because of that, everything around you kind of dies out, or you can kill them basically, take it and use it for the better of everything, and all of the agriculture and the entire area surrounding you will start to bloom and become green. So there's thousands of different choices that can change your experience, your whole
So
experience.
so I want to preface this by saying, like, you guys know me and chat may not know me so well, but I'm a skeptic at heart. So when I hear someone promising the world, I'm going to immediately poke holes and say, what about this? What about that? So how many times so far throughout gaming history have we been promised such a true sandbox as that? I mean, we can even go back to like the original Fable, where we were promised
Oof.
quite a similar effect in the game, in the world around you, that we really did not see. I mean, it was there, but it was just the skeleton of such an idea. And that's an extreme example, because you guys know, so Fable like famously had a spokesperson, the CEO of Lionhead, I believe, Peter Molyneux, who would always overpromise.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's the extreme example. I am a fan of the Dying Light devs. I really enjoyed the first game. It's really excellent, a well crafted experience. But at the end of the day, when they're telling you about this game coming up in the systems, it's marketing, right? They had a meeting when they talked
Mhm.
about what they were going to say about the game. So how much of this promise is going to live up to the hype, and how much of it is going to detract from the actual story? Because when you have a story that's so open, you can't really craft a good narrative,
It can
or
get a
not
little
always.
jumbled. Yeah. No, I agree. Because like
So
at
what do
some
you what do you
point,
guys think?
it's like at some point, based off of what you're saying, is like the story can become so jumbled, like gets so disorganized with all these like promises and all these additional things that are being added in, that the game almost doesn't make sense. Is what you're
Mhm.
trying to say, essentially?
More or less. I'm thinking more of line with the Telltale games. The Telltale games are very famous for their marketing, saying that they're very open experiences. But at the end of the day, the main story has to be one narrative, and they're not going to let you change it super drastically. So, say you get a choice between saving one character's life versus another. Whichever character you save is going to take the same actions,
Hmm.
just because it's going to
Makes
affect the story that way. It's just going to be a different voice actor, because they want to also tell a compelling story, and it makes it uh, so much more difficult. I'd say exponentially more difficult when you're trying to account for other scenarios
Hmm.
rather than craft around a few.
I
So
believe Breath of the Wild uh, does that really well, right? I've not
I
played it, but
I'm gonna firmly say no.
no.
Breath of the Wild was so open, and it was incredibly open gameplay. But the reason that they could do that is because the story was extremely bare bones. So they
Yeah.
chose one or the other, and they chose not to compromise. What I'm hearing here, and I don't know much about the game, is that Dying Light is trying to do both.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that
Yeah.
is realistic? Do you guys
I,
think that in 2020 that can be achieved?
I think it can be achieved, but I think it has to be well thought out. Like, I think there's a lot more to it than just being like, oh, we're gonna have our game have a million different storylines and it's open world. Boom, set it on the table. Let's put it in production. Like, they
Yeah.
have to think things through. They need to take the time to make this game what we want, or it's essentially just gonna be nothing.
It's like you can't make like Skyrim so heavily story based because there's so much that can go on in that too.
Right.
So,
Uh, Kenny in particular, I do think that there is a good point that it needs to be well thought out, but I think we need to also make the point that planning that out and thinking that out costs money.
A lot. Yeah.
Oh
And they're
yes.
going to expect a certain return on investment. And if they advertise the game this way, they're still not going to reach every audience. They're not going to
No.
get more than they would have if it was a stellar game in general. They can craft a really fun experience, but we're talking like more than like a GTA 5 budget if we want to have
which is
a
ridiculous.
million different stories to tell, you know?
It's gonna get expensive hiring obviously the writers, having all the meetings, keeping people in office, like the time it takes for production. So there's a lot to it. Yeah, the acting especially,
the assets,
voice actors, all that.
They have to animate everything too. It just sounds like an incredible amount of work. So when I hear just about something like that, it raises like a million little alarms in my head. The little skeptic in me, the little hamster on the wheel, is going, "Wait, no, that's not going to happen."
I feel like too, like at the same time, like with all those alerts coming up, we've also just been promised this so many times, like you said, and have had so many games fall down on us. We're just like, we're not expecting it. We can be like, okay, something's gonna happen.
That's a fair point for sure.
So it's definitely rough. I applaud them for trying, but at the end of the day, I don't get my hopes up for.
So you're a skeptic now too?
I mean, I've been a skeptic.
Did I convert you?
No, it's fine.
I do think we're getting a little off this like initial topic though, going down rabbit holes about these games. But the true question is like, will those games that have those million different like outcomes and opportunities that you can choose, how is their replayability? Like that, I think that's the biggest question we still need to
that's very
like
true.
ask.
Yeah, so like besides the replayability coming from like a story, I mean not every single game has a multiplayer, so I'm not sure if you guys want to head straight to like multiplayer games and things that game companies try to innovate into their games, or are we talking mostly like something a bit different here?
Let's keep the topic single player for now, and then we can jump into multiplayer, because I definitely think multiplayer replayability is a like entirely different field than single player.
Altogether.
I don't touch any of my single player games after I finish them, but like multiplayer, I'll jump back occasionally.
I on the other hand am completely different. If a game really drags me in the first time, I am 100% willing to go back and play it. Like even if it's the okay, Skyrim's a different story because it's very open world and I can choose many different options of the type of life I want to live. But even and I'm going to bring up a very recent game, a game that came out at the beginning, I believe it was March or May of 2019, Plague Tale Innocent. I don't know if any of you guys played that, but it was a heavily story-based game. I probably beat it in around like 13 to 15 hours. And I still went back, even though it was like one of the most linear plot lines. I still went back and replayed it because it was something that really dragged me in. And I wanted to experience it and see if there were any small details that I missed the initial time. So for me, and I'm also the type of person that loves rewatching movies, like however many times over, because there's always going to be some detail that I miss.
Was it a detail in the lore, or was it a different type of detail?
Any type of detail, whether it be something like a single line of dialogue or a single little like piece of architecture or something that is significant in the plot. Like even if you know the ending, what it is, you can go back and you can be like, that's what that meant.
Easter eggs too.
Okay, that makes sense.
Easter eggs in movies and games.
Those kind of details are really pertinent in games that have a twist. Especially. But I think there's so many talks about creating replayability in games, meaning creating new, fresh experiences. But I think I agree with you here that the games that I probably replayed the most in my life are the ones that are the most linear.
Yeah.
Because I simply enjoyed it. And the ones that I didn't are the ones that try to create that replayability where I'm going in and I'm experiencing something new every time. I feel like to replay a game like that, let's go back to the Telltale games. If you replay a Telltale game and make different choices, it feels like it's pulling the wool over your eyes and you see the pitfalls and where the budget stopped. Whereas with a single player linear game, I go back and I experience something I enjoyed the first time and I pick up on new things anyways because it was a well-crafted experience.
Exactly. So if they focus on like how they want to be able to tell their story and the type of experience that they really want to give the players without trying to force that replayability, it's more likely that you're going to end up replaying it and it's not going to feel like a chore because it is a well crafted game. That is the one thing. If a game feels like a chore to get through, I probably won't even make it halfway through.
That's a great point. And I feel like that chore feeling is a symptom of trying to make your game last longer.
Hmm.
What do you guys think?
Monotonous grinding comes to mind when you say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh,
I think like I'm gonna switch topics over a little bit towards like the multiplayer side, because ever since that was brought up, that interested me a lot, and I had a point. So replayability. I think of like even going back, sometimes I'll catch myself on YouTube watching like Grand Theft Auto 4 stuff, like seeing the Easter eggs that I might have missed, like different things that people have found in different locations on the map, like stuff like that. So I think even though the company of the game added that in there, I definitely think like even the community adds some replayability to games.
For sure.
Oh, for
Like
sure.
community
Oh, yeah.
finding things, community being really good. Like you say you play a game you've never played before, and then you find out the community is awesome. You want to make friends. You go
Yes.
back to that. Like stuff like that always keeps me like entranced as well.
Speedrunning is one of those communities that I think
Oh,
about.
absolutely.
Speedrunning,
That's a great
definitely.
point, Luigi.
Mhm.
There are a lot of games that I just didn't really get until I got into their community a little bit.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, that's why you guys like this. And then I loved it.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, what the hell? This is cool.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of some examples. They're usually multiplayer games, and I see people enjoying them or doing something in a way that I just didn't instinctually do.
Like a different
And I was
twist
like,
to the
oh,
game. It almost makes the game
yeah,
entirely different the way that they're playing it, and you're like, I want to try that. That's cool. Let me go about that.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yes. Especially
Like,
seeing someone else enjoy it. I feel
yeah.
like there's
Oh,
like
yeah.
a social part of your brain that's like, hey, another human enjoys this. This must be a worthwhile activity. And then your lizard brain just, yes.
One of the things for me, I used to play a lot of Call of Duty. I played competitively, like I played in I played like I don't know what they're called anymore, but it's fine. I played in like tournaments. That was one play style that I played. I saw people playing casually. I saw people nuke rushing to get nukes and kill streaks and get as many kills as possible. The main thing for me that kept me coming back to Call of Duty all of those years was the different ways people could quick scope, trick shot, different things like that. Okay, that was the corner of a shelf.
Sorry.
Anybody not in the live stream, Jake's camera just zoomed in on the corner of the shelf behind him. It's fine. But like trick shotting was the biggest thing for me. I wouldn't have played COD for like 9 years straight if it wasn't for trick shotting. Like I would put the game down. I'd be like, cool, I'm just shooting people, not fun. But the different things that people found, the different glitches in the maps that you could exploit to get different trick shots and different things, it was really cool. The online community was cool. You could create content around it. Like think of FaZe Clan. They used to be like trick shotting montages. They have 60 plus. Now they're a content creation team. They've adapted off of that, but that's their roots. That's like what they originally did, and that's what they try to get back to occasionally. Like the new Modern Warfare game, they try trick shotting still. Like that stuff's cool. It's nice seeing different ways to go back and replay a game.
Yes, absolutely.
Would you guys agree with the statement that if a game does not have the replay value, it's going to severely lack content on multiple different levels?
I think that is such an opinion based argument. I feel like everyone's gonna have a different answer to that question. I think it's a great question.
Mhm.
I personally, I'm on a budget a lot of the time. So when I pick up a game, I mostly try to think about what is going to get me the most time while it's still enjoying it. But at the end of the day, given an infinite amount of money, I'd probably take a short, well-crafted experience over a game that is built for that replayability.
Mm.
Mhm.
Most of the times I don't even go back to enjoy the replayability. I play through it once and I'm like, okay, I'm just kind of done.
Yeah.
But like I'll enjoy the story so much. Like God of War, that's another title that I love. God of War, the new God of War for PS4.
I
I
was gonna
played
bring
through
that game
that,
up.
and that game made me cry. The story was so good, and they added like a it's like a new game plus. It makes it harder. I haven't touched it, but I
It's
enjoyed it for
an
the
excellent
story.
game.
It is.
Yes. I think about it, like even now, I played it back when it came out. I'm not a God of War fan, but I heard the hype and I
So
jumped
good.
in, and I still think about that game today. And that game came out well a year ago.
I don't
Was it a
even
year ago
know.
now?
maybe 2018 or early
2018. I'm
2019.
thinking 2018. But that game, man, I replayed it in my head. I've replayed that game in my head.
It's such a the story around it, this like visuals, cinematics, like the power you feel and the weapons you get as Kratos, you
Mhm.
feel so good playing it. But then when the game's done, I don't know, there's nothing keeping me entranced by it. I go back and I reminisce on the story just as you are, but
I
other
do
than that,
think
it's like cool.
I think there's a valid point in that because there is end game content,
There
but it
is.
doesn't really amount to anything. It's not really. For those not in the know, they introduce this maze, and the maze is like modular. It has different randomly generated rooms, so the room is always the same, but they're always in a different order, and some of them are harder, easier than others, and they piece them together every time you enter the maze. And you go in and you get loot, which lets you stay in the maze for longer. But at the end of the day, if there's nothing after the maze, no content, then what's the point of being able to stay in the maze longer?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a valid point that's been raised about content meant to draw your playtime out, which we see a lot in games that are replayable. Uh, for those not watching, I just use air quotes because they're not replayable; they're boring.
Mm.
Oh, what do you guys think about that shoehorned in content? Do you think that it's it's like viable financially for a dev to sit there and put in grinding?
It depends what you're grinding for, because I don't think that you
Yeah,
should be grinding for something that you can't brag about, right?
right. That's a fair point.
Trophies,
I I
achievements.
exactly, like, I think, Halo 3, for example, I think did it so well. You needed to get certain achievements in that game to unlock certain pieces of armor, and now
Yes.
as whether you look at a newer game like Halo 5, you just need to grind for points. I can literally turn my box on, search games, go AFK, come back, and have all the armor unlocked by, like, next week. It just doesn't equate to how nice it is when you said, "Oh my god, dude, I got that Mongoose Modown achievement," like, it's very rare and, like, hard to get, and it unlocks you pieces of armor. That was something that was so well done, I think, and I feel like I think every game can utilize something like that. You need bragging rights in games at the end of the day. I think you need to be able to brag.
Well, I do think that comes back to the community
Mhm.
being an important piece in the replayability. Because would you ever grind if you didn't have that visual to show off to your friends?
Exactly.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
No, not really, there's no point.
Yeah.
You need a point.
Hannah, what do you think about the community being such a source of inspiration for replayability? Like, people showing you new ways to play the game, or even the bragging rights that Luigi brought up. Do you think that there are games that you wouldn't have replayed if your community didn't also replay it?
Honestly, so I when I started playing games, a lot of the games that I were playing were just solely like single player. I guess the only games that I really was invested in the community was something like Animal Crossing because you have those friends and that's a game that can keep like bringing you back because it's like a real-time life simulator. Or
Yes.
Mhm.
you have something like Pokemon because you have those bragging rights of having like those
Yes.
like
That's true.
legendary Pokemon, but at some
Mhm.
point it you've caught them all. That's
Right.
kind of
Right.
it. So
Mhm.
the
Like
only thing
the
you can do is just go back and catch them all again, but it feels like such a tedious task.
It's literally just a
So
right.
grind.
for me, it's not something that I've ever like really been drawn into replaying games like by the community because a lot of those games that do have that community that pushes you to replay, it's never been something that I have really pushed myself into playing those types of games. Like I've never been like a multiplayer FPS kind of person.
Yeah.
So my opinion on that is very limited, but from what I do know, it's not something that's really drawn me in.
Right. I'm not gonna be 85 years old on my deathbed with like some kind of machine keeping me alive and opening up my Nintendo DS and looking at my Gen 5 living decks as I fade.
I
I'm
might.
gonna sit there and I'm gonna go to the playground and I'm gonna tell Timmy, listen, I fucking caught that Kyogre.
You're gonna rub it in his face.
And you don't have one. And I'm gonna take his lunch money.
Oh.
But actually, quick point about Pokemon games. I think the way that they do it for their replayability isn't even necessarily replayability within the singular game. It's playing the other games of the same gen because you have like Ruby and Sapphire. You can only
Mm.
catch certain Pokemon in each, or you're gonna have to trade with friends. Well, newsflash. I don't know if you guys are surprised, but I never had friends. So I always had both copies of the game.
Same.
And so
I think that's a
Everybody.
fair point.
yeah.
I think Game Freak has been under a lot of scrutiny, especially lately with the two version system. I think it's rather silly. I think the idea behind it is to promote that sense of community. Like, I can't get this unless I get my buddy to buy a game, or I buy two.
Completely
But
agree.
at the end of the day, it feels so artificial because they're not putting actual work in. They're creating a list of Pokemon, they're putting some on certain routes and taking them out of the other game.
So yeah, they're,
Mm.
they're making more product.
I think the only way that they've really implemented bringing the community together is Pokemon Go. Strangely enough.
Oh yeah,
That
no,
is a good yes.
100%. Oh my
Firmly
god.
agree.
I
Yeah.
revisit Pokemon Go so much, and like the community's really cool. Like shiny hunting, community day, that stuff's really cool.
Oh yeah. And it brings community together in such a different way. I know this is a completely different type of game that we're even discussing.
Yes.
Because with replayability, it's literally just open your phone, go outside.
Yeah.
That's all the replayability really is.
Well, it's
But
accessible.
yeah, but it's something that you see the community and it makes you want to keep that game on your phone, keep trying to like log in those hours, walk however long to get those shinies. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's it's a really interesting way that they put the community like kind of to work together in it.
I do feel like Pokemon Go, now that we're visiting it, it was kind of a perfect storm of intuition. I feel like the fact that it brings a well beloved game into the real world and it requires traveling means at its very core, it's going to have a built in audience of people going to these places. You're going to meet up with people in real life. You're going to ask your friends to go on a little trip with you. I've never personally got into Pokemon Go because I'm too much of a hipster to do something everyone else is doing. But I do think that it was so ingenious to put it out in the real world. I feel like it was untread ground. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that Pokemon Go is valuable for the way it forays into a new realm and creates that replayability with its community?
I definitely think it is. I actually one thing too about Pokemon Go, which is actually really cool, that a lot of other games I think should try to integrate this, but I'm not sure how. Pokemon Go, I'm pretty sure you can transfer your Pokemon from Pokemon Go into like some of the games on Switch, like Sword and Shield.
Yes, I think the bank, the new bank, Pokemon
Yeah.
Home, you
Mhm.
can transfer into there.
Initially, it was through the Let's Go series
Yeah, Pokemon
that you
Home.
could transfer them through because Let's Go was basically the Switch version of Pokemon Go.
Yeah, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu. You could trade them into like, it was like a little like farm or a daycare, whatever you want to call it. You could interact with the Pokemon there, but I don't think you were actually. You might be able to actually take them out and fight with them. I might be wrong.
Yeah, you can transfer those Pokemon like back into your phone. You can swap them between everything. There is no fighting in the Let's Go games, but it's basically just pure catching Pokemon.
Mhm.
And just keeping
I-
them for your records.
It cuts to the meat as well. I feel like a lot of people just play Pokemon for that. And I do
Yeah.
think that
Mm-hmm.
the Pokemon Let's Go series was them trying to have lightning strike twice. Because they definitely caught lightning in a bottle with Pokemon Go. Like, I don't think there will ever be such a phenomenon
No.
quite like it. And I do think they were trying to ride that hype a little bit.
Nothing has
But
ever gotten me driving around to my car, wasting my gas for 4.5 hours one day during a shiny event day so I could get just the perfect Pokemon and then evolve it and then brag about it. Like, I haven't done that with any other game that's ever come out, especially a mobile game. Like, that's big.
That's
But
what I like is I don't really play too much Pokemon Go, but I always hear from multiple different people that there's a good sense of achievement,
mm,
and that's a great thing to see people talk about instead of just saying that they like the game.
yeah.
They talk about their achievements.
But also speaking about the talking about the Switch, Hannah, what is so special about actually yesterday with the Switch?
Yeah, yesterday was actually the 3-year anniversary of the Switch.
3, by the way.
Woo! I don't have mine in reach because I don't want to get up, but I have mine right there.
oh wait, I have mine right here. What a coincidence!
Can I grab mine? I'm gonna grab mine anyways.
Look at that, dude. I'm a Vanna White.
Can we bully Luigi? Luigi, where's your Switch?
Yeah, Luigi, no Switch.
Oh, why do you guys have the gray? Come on, I have the red and the blue Switch. Both of you guys have the gray.
Okay, I hunted for a Switch for half a year before I could find one. This is the only one I could
Same.
find.
Oh my god,
were
they
gone.
sold
I
out.
think that's what's great
They
about
were
it.
gone. They couldn't find
They-
them anywhere.
I had the money put aside and it sold out for like 7 months straight before I finally found this thing. And let me tell
Well,
you,
that just Nintendo had runaway hit after runaway hit. We're talking like obviously Pokemon Go wasn't heavily Nintendo, but they do have a third stake in the Pokemon company, right?
yeah.
But like they didn't expect the Switch to be as popular as it was. It was an incredible idea, but like you looked at the Nintendo Wii U sales, and if you were to
We don't talk
project
about
what the
that.
Switch was going to look like, the Switch was going to be a trashy. Like no one was going to buy it.
Because
No one's going to understand what it was.
at the end of the day, like except being like having the detachable remotes on it, it's kind of the same thing. Like tablet with Joy-Cons on the side, you can play on here, you can play on the TV, but
I mean,
it adds a new element.
to be fair, the Wii U walked so that the Switch could run.
I love my Wii U. I will
Oh my
always
God.
stand by that system.
I sold my Wii U so fast for something else.
Heresy.
I didn't
Wii
even
U's a good
bother.
system.
I just kept my Wii. I still have my Wii and I still play it.
Fun fact, I sold my Wii U and Breath of the Wild so I could buy my Switch and Breath of the Wild so I could play Breath of the
Wait.
Wild on the Switch.
You sold the Breath of the Wild that someone bought you? That's so weird.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's really
Hey,
good.
it helped me afford this, so you did a good deed. Look at him.
But I do think there's a valid point when it comes to the Nintendo Switch, especially when comparing it to Pokemon Go. That Nintendo has done such an excellent job of being the first to move into new territory, and they got handsomely rewarded for it on so many occasions. I'm going back to the Wii. I'm going back to the Nintendo 64. What other game system was putting out commercial grade 3D games? Mario 64 was a game changer. We all know it. I mean,
Oh,
you guys have seen the YouTube videos,
Oh.
hours long, about the switch to 3D and how genius the control stick was.
Mario 64 is literally inside my N64 in our bedroom on the other side of this wall right now.
But like,
God.
it's like Nintendo is always on. They don't go hard with their hardware, but they're always on the next big thing. And then by the time everyone else does it, it's old. Like, how do they do that?
I honestly think that the way that they do it is because they're not so like focused on this rivalry of what's better. Like, is it Xbox versus PlayStation?
Yes.
Like constantly going head to head and trying to one up another when whatever they're doing ends up falling flat because Nintendo has always stuck by what they think is best for themselves,
Yes.
not the best compared to anything else. And that's just how they succeed. Like the only time that they have ever truly fallen like fall felt words they ever fell flat was like the Wii U. But that's not necessarily to say that the Wii U was bad. It just wasn't
Just wasn't as
it
popular.
exactly. It didn't I don't feel like the Wii U was truly where Nintendo wanted it to be.
I think there's a couple key points that we can look at when we're talking about Nintendo's success, and I do think there's another challenge point to their flops because Nintendo probably I don't know how familiar you guys are with Nintendo history, but Nintendo's probably had more flops than any other gaming company out right now.
Mhm.
Nintendo
Mhm.
had what was it? The 3D Boy? What do you call that thing?
The
Is that what
Virtual
it was
Boy?
called? The Virtual
Virtual
Boy.
Boy.
The Virtual Boy, man, the guy who designed that got fired. Did you guys know that?
I did not know
He
that.
was huge.
Oh my
He was a
God.
big guy at
Holy.
Nintendo. So they had the Virtual Boy, and I hate to say it because it's one of my favorite consoles of all time. The GameCube did
No,
not sell
I know.
nearly as well as it should have.
It
It was more powerful than the PS2, but they were going for power over innovation for the first time ever.
it had so many
Yeah.
classic hits on it too that like my GameCube is my pride and joy. Like I go back to it.
Same.
If you're watching live, guys, if you look on the background of my shelf, my GameCube is on display for people to come in. Anybody who
Mm.
comes in my
Same
stream
here.
will look at it.
I copied him.
I wouldn't do
I
that
don't
over
have
an
mine
Xbox. I
anymore.
wouldn't do that
That's
over a
legit.
PS4. Like not a PS4, just PlayStation. GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to go way back though, because I still want to talk about how Nintendo's history influences their innovation. Because before Nintendo ever forayed into gaming in 1986, they were a toy company, a long-standing toy company.
They
They made playing cards. I saw you pointing.
Yeah, I'm like they actually started in 1889 or 1899?
I think
I
that's close. I have no idea.
It's in the
Off the
1800s.
I
top of
believe
my
it's
head.
I believe it's 1889 is when they started as a playing card company in Japan, and here they are now
Mhm.
being like I personally consider them the top dog of video games. Like they are my number one.
I really think so.
I agree with
I
that.
want to make the point that the reason that they're so good at the innovation, they're always on to the next new thing, is because they're not sitting here thinking about how they can do things better. They're looking at what's around and saying, "Hey, what's fun? What's fun? Look at
Exactly.
Nintendo Labo. Is
I
that
was about
not
to
that is
say.
literally just fun?
It's literally just for fun.
It
Like there's
kind
no
of
purpose.
sucks for anyone who's way into gaming, but if you're a kid and you want a toy, like that's a fun toy.
Like
They're
it's
looking at
a
what's fun.
it's a new generation of just giving your kid a box and telling them to play.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yes.
literally all Nintendo Labo is. And
It's an
that's
$80
the thing.
box.
Insert SpongeBob reference.
um, but yes, you look at the Nintendo Switch, you say, "Hey, what would be fun about playing my home console? I would bring it somewhere and play with a friend. What's fun about having a controller? They see kids playing racing games and tilting their controller. Hey, what if that did something? You know, it starts with just such simple ideas, so simple, and they put it into such good execution that it becomes the most innovative new idea, and everyone's on it.
Think about like I think it's called like the Zap Gun or something that they had. They
The
had
zapper,
the zapper, the power glove, just even the Wiimote and the nunchuck. Nobody
Yes.
else does that. Like PlayStation tried to do it with like the weird stick with the ball. Hey,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
that
well,
flopped.
nobody can do
Yeah.
it like Nintendo.
They were so late. Nintendo
It's-
was on it, man.
mm,
And let's not talk about Connect. We're just gonna.
we're
Oh.
gonna completely skip over that.
I remember when that was Project Natal.
I remember
It was the
throwing my
best
Connect
thing.
in a lake.
Oh my god!
I fished it out after because
Do you know what I did with my Connect? Kenny
don't wanna
knows what
hear
I
it.
did with Connect.
So, oh wait,
Uh,
didn't you use it as a microphone for like a
yes,
year?
I relegated it to being my PC microphone. I plugged it in by the
Oh,
USB
no.
and turned it into a microphone for Skype for years.
If you guys want to hear
Oh,
everything
that's
that's going on around you, use the Connect because you can hear people a mile away.
Yes.
The gain is
Oh,
all the way up on that thing.
If anyone played Xbox during that period, there was always some little kid playing,
Screaming on their Connect.
Oh,
screaming,
the
eating
entire thing.
cereal, getting yelled
The
at.
vacuum going.
Vacuum.
Oh my
Every
God.
neighborhood dog shouting.
Man.
But shouts
I-
out to the 1-year anniversary of the Nintendo Switch from this
1 year.
innovative
The
company.
3
One.
year.
Oh my god.
Things
Did I
been
say
over
1 year?
3.
Yeah, things been over 3.
I am not
Yeah.
able to count that high.
All right, guys. Episode 3. It's gonna be me, Synapse, and Nexus was here.
And I'll
Eggnog,
be
sorry,
in
is
episode
canceled.
1 still.
He'll live on in the future, in the past.
We're
I
gonna
mean.
have a new take on episode 1 with just me, and I'm gonna be missing from episode 3.
Oh, man.
I do actually really want to talk about since it is the 3-year anniversary of the Switch, like what are your guys' favorite games on the Switch?
That's a toughie.
That's really
The ones that come to mind right away is
You don't have
the
one.
Pokken Tournament, as Jake introduced that to me, and I really enjoyed playing that with him. I don't have a Switch, but if I had to, the Pokken Tournament and Smash, obviously.
Dude, Smash. Oof, oof.
Smash is great.
Honestly, I think my favorite title would probably have to be Breath of the Wild, just because of how much I enjoyed the game. I played that thing full on stream, and it took me like close to 100 hours. Honest to God,
So good.
it's
Dude,
such
you
a
liked
good
that
story,
so well. You sold somebody's gift
bro.
just for it, dude. Like,
It's
that's
fine.
how
Dude,
much you liked it.
well, he sold my Breath of the Wilds to buy Breath of the Wilds.
That's how good Breath of the Wild is. That's it.
I wanted it on the Switch. It's fine. He understands.
I played mine on the Wii U because I'm such a fanboy.
I played half of
Um,
it, and then I was just like, I can't. I don't know. I just want the
So
Switch.
I'd say if I did play it on the Switch, that would be my favorite game for the Switch. But damn, I am having so much trouble coming up with my favorite Switch game because there's so many great experiences. Like frankly, I just had another one. I played Ultimate Alliance 3. That's just an excellent game. Story
Mhm.
kind of it's not there, but it's a well-crafted gameplay experience. You know what? I wanna pass it on to Hannah, and you guys can come back to me for my favorite Switch experience.
Honestly, well, my favorite Switch experience has yet to come out. March 20th, Animal Crossing New Horizons.
You're putting so
Uh,
much faith on this.
Of course. I mean,
I don't. It
I've
would
been
break my
playing
heart if you
I've been
didn't
playing
like it.
I've been playing Animal Crossing since I started with Wild World because I never had a GameCube because I was always growing up playing N64 and Game Boy Color. Like those were the only things until I got a Wii. So up until I was 8, that was like it. I didn't even know that the GameCube existed until I was probably in middle school or high school.
Hard.
Wow.
I know, it hurts, but uh, so with Animal Crossing, I have been playing since Wild World, and I played that on the DS, and so it's been when did that come out? Like 2006, 2005?
Wild World? Oh man, yes. I
That's a
want to say it was
while.
one of early titles for the DS. I want to say like
Yeah,
2005. That's a tough one, but yes, very old game.
yeah. So
I played it.
then it was 2005. It was the end of 2005. So for it's been 14 and a half years since that came out. And so that's how long I have been invested in the Animal Crossing series and community. So there's no possible way. Like Myth saw me crying at 6 in the morning when that Animal Crossing Direct came on.
I literally couldn't
Like
hear what was going on because she was sobbing uncontrollably, and I'm like, "Can we please watch?"
I
I was
just picture
sobbing.
you waking up, her turned over, you can only see her back, and you just hear.
No, she woke me
You
up.
bet I woke him up. I woke him up at
Damn.
5:30 so that we could get mentally prepared for this for this direct, and I was blown away. I watched it. I have since watched it like 12 times. I'm not even joking.
Keep in mind, it's like a
And
30-minute trailer.
yeah, it's 30
Wow.
minutes.
I think that
I went frame by frame.
I think that even if the game is a flop and it's the worst Animal Crossing that ever exists, you're probably still gonna love it.
Oh yeah.
Don't
I
watch
mean,
the reviews.
I personally don't think anything can be worse than City Folk because I personally didn't like City Folk. It
Oh,
just
I love that
didn't
one.
work for me.
Oh, that's a hot take.
That's my unpopular opinion. City Folk wasn't it for me. It just wasn't a game that drew me in. But that was because it was the one it was the only one for me that was on a home console. But I
Oh,
That's
feel
true.
that was because I was almost exclusively playing handheld. I was almost
yeah.
always on my DS. And so it was such a weird experience, especially because whenever the hell that came out, I was still a child who barely even knew how to move my arm. Like
So yeah, you were Luigi.
Awesome.
so
Have you guys
for-
heard that story from the original Animal Crossing? I'm sorry. You know what? Continue. I'll come back to
oh,
it.
that's fine.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I remember it was probably a copy pasta. It's probably legendary by now, but I remember this story about the original Animal Crossing where a kid got it and played it. We set it aside for a while, and then his mom got way into it and started playing his GameCube. and then like she passed away, and like years later he went back to the game and his mailbox was like full of mail from her, like talking about like wishing him well and stuff like that. It was a legendary story, but that game is so special to so many people.
Yeah.
Wow,
Exactly.
what a touching story.
Like Animal Crossing, I was probably going through my darkest times in high school, and Animal Crossing brought me out of that. Like playing New Leaf on the DS, like I was constantly playing that between class, before school, after school. Like I literally failed classes because of Animal Crossing. But it was fine because it helped better my mental health, and it means that much to so many people, like millions and millions of fans. And so for New Horizons, even if it ends up being a flop, the thing is that you're really not going to be able to tell if it is a flop, because it is a real-time life simulator that
Mm.
it's going to take some time. You're going to have to invest some time to really determine, and it looks like they're putting a lot of content really like front forward, and that'll kind of keep you in. So to really tell if it's going to be a flop is about a year down the line.
Well, and let's be honest, they've got a winning formula.
They really do.
I do.
But aside from that, because I went off on a little bit of an Animal Crossing tangent,
It'll happen.
so my favorite Nintendo Switch game, it will end up being Animal Crossing, but currently I do have to say Breath of the Wild. Like I got my Switch in a bundle with Breath of the Wild for my birthday, and like I beat that game, and this was like before I even got into streaming. This was like me sitting on my couch. I was stationary for 10 days.
Holy
So-
cow.
So
Okay, Luigi.
I had actually beaten it in 8 days, and on the Switch you have to wait 10 days for your playtime to show up. So I wait for my playtime to show up, and it was about 90 hours
Oh
in those
my
8
god.
days.
Oh my god.
And that was all I did, because it,
Jeez.
like, growing up, my first Legend of Zelda game being Ocarina of Time on the N64, and like I honestly think that Breath of the Wild is my second favorite Legend of Zelda game of all time.
It's fair to say.
like,
it's great.
That like nothing can beat Majora's Mask for me personally. But Breath of the Wild is my favorite Switch game, and the only thing that could take its crown is going to be Animal Crossing, but that's because of more personal ties to that series. But that's my biggest point. Like Breath of the Wild, it was such a different spin on the series. So
It's that
It really
innovation.
was. It's
Yeah.
it's so different than any of the others if you think about it. It's I don't know, everybody like that was the biggest title. Everyone's like, what the hell is this? Like this is
I'm
insane.
gonna go out on a limb and say they needed it.
They did.
Oh,
They
yeah.
needed it.
Honestly. It was a crazy push towards like because it came out on the Wii U first, and then like I feel like it kind of brought back the Wii U. I don't know if it's probably a hot take, but like I feel like that game coming out helped it, but the fact that they put it on the Switch is like insane. Like that helped push the console even further than what it was originally like gonna be like.
they wanted to give that transition between Wii U players and Switch players. And I think Breath of the Wild was really the best option for that, because it's something that kind of helped lengthen the life of the Wii U just a little bit, kind of make it go out in a bang. And it's such a perfect launch title for the Switch. Like that is the game that it launched with. And now they're making a second one. They are making a
Oh.
direct sequel, which a lot of people are saying that in Legend of Zelda they've never done a direct sequel before. But bringing back my favorite game, I'm fairly certain that Majora's Mask is a direct sequel, because even though
Yes.
it takes place in a completely different plane, it is the continuation of the story of Link. That version of Link from Ocarina of Time.
Mhm.
Phantom
Like it
Hourglass.
wasn't just the same assets. Oh yeah, Phantom Hourglass and
Phantom
Spirit Tracks.
Hourglass was a Spirit Tracks wasn't, but Phantom Hourglass was a
Really?
direct sequel.
Did you guys like
Uh,
Spirit Tracks? Sorry to get
I
off
didn't
I
play
didn't
topic,
play
but
Spirit.
It's
I played
I
Phantom
really
Hourglass.
liked it. It was cool. It was a cool game.
I
Which
stole
one?
Phantom Hourglass from my little brother.
What about
was-
Twilight Princess? I thought
Spirit
that
Tracks
was
is the train.
Mhm.
Twilight Princess?
Twilight
Yeah,
Princess is not a
really.
direct sequel.
No.
No.
I'm gonna get
Yeah.
yelled at by my chat though because I need to finish that. But
Oops.
H.E.'s winding up.
Okay, well, we need to talk about my favorite game.
Your
So
favorite
my
game.
Yeah.
my favorite Switch experience.
Just Dance 2019.
So like,
You love shaking your ass. He's pushing his mic away. He's gonna fight me.
you done?
I am. Okay, go
on. So I didn't play Breath of the Wild on Switch. It might take the cake, but I've had many good Switch experience. You know, I didn't play Shovel Knight till I got it on the Switch, and that I
Ooh.
love that game. Love Shovel Knight. I didn't play Celeste until the Switch. I didn't play, Smash Bros. Ultimate until the Switch, but um, I really love Fire Emblem, but I gotta say Mario Odyssey is my favorite Switch experience. So we're talking a lot of like Nintendo first party games, but I mean, who's making better games for the Switch right now? Mario Odyssey was such an amazing callback to all the old games. It was definitely nostalgia oriented. It was trying to recreate the magic of the Nintendo 64
Oh yeah.
and GameCube with Mario Sunshine and the more open environment. So I loved the return to that. I think the game may have been a little oversaturated with checkpoints or pats on the back with all the moons, but I do think that it was probably one of my favorite gaming experiences. I spent a lot of time trying to 100% it. I still haven't done it. I do adore Mario Odyssey, and I do think that as it stands, until I finish Fire Emblem, that Mario Odyssey is my favorite experience for the Switch.
No, I definitely agree. It's like I feel like that's one of the biggest titles I heard about too. Like Mario Odyssey this, Mario Odyssey that. Like I played
was
it. And
hyped. I waited, man. I was in line for that game. I was waiting
It's-
so long.
It's so good. Like coming from someone who's played like Mario 64 and I love Super Mario Sunshine. Like I played
You
Odyssey.
and I used to play Sunshine when we were babies, man.
Literally, we would just take
little
turns holding the
kids.
controllers and just throwing it back and forth in your basement when you lived across the street from me.
Oh my god, don't. I forgot that my GameCube was in the basement. You just
Threw you in
I'm
for a
in
loop.
flashbacks. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
You're right, dude. It
I
was in
have
my
my Super
basement.
Mario too. This bad boy for anybody watching
Wow.
live. There it
Crazy
is.
flex for those of us who don't have theirs anymore. I want a remake.
Black
Nintendo, if
Label
you're
2.
listening.
It's in my GameCube right now, but I have like the guide and everything for it.
Man.
Honestly, like Mario was one of those games that I never really got into. Like it wasn't a style of game or the type of story that I was really invested in, especially when I was like first introduced to Legend of Zelda. But Odyssey, even though I haven't played it yet, I have been so tempted ever since it came out because that's the one Mario game that I have truly been tempted to play. Like I've already played Sunshine and I made the mistake of playing it on the Dolphin emulator because it
Mm.
makes like I don't know if the camera is just bad
It's
or
ass.
if that's
It's
Dolphin.
bad.
It's
It's
ass.
not
Oh my
good.
gosh.
It's an old game.
But even then, like it was a really fun game. But going back to replayability, it's not a game I would replay. But Mario Odyssey seems like something that I I would really want to invest time into. It's one of the only Mario games that's really like wanted to pull me in, and that seems pretty huge for like a Mario game.
Well,
Mhm.
I'd say you have enough time before Animal Crossing comes out. I'd say
do.
you should get on it.
But do I have enough funds?
For
I
Kenny,
also
you
am
don't have
trying
it?
Mario
to.
Odyssey?
Kenny, do you have it?
I don't have it anymore.
Oh man, who sells
Aw.
their games anymore?
Me, I was broke.
Damn.
I beat it in like 2 days and I was like, all right, cool, I want another game. And then I don't know what game I traded it out for, but I got like another big title.
I'm gonna send it over by carrier pigeon.
My god.
I'm gonna train Luigi, put it in his mouth, and run on all fours all the way to Nevada.
He'll do
Great.
it.
I'll do it apparently.
Anyways, I think it's about time we wrap up. We've been going for over an hour now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's been an hour and 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Imagine
direct
holding a
time.
conversation for more than 5 seconds. Couldn't be me.
It's not usually me, it's fine.
No.
2 water sips have been redeemed. I want water.
I think we should go through donations
And it's
and
big sipping.
whatever happened while we were gone?
So it looks like it's just like redeemable stuff like incentives in my channel. So thank you guys for those. I don't do those during the podcast. We do those after the podcast. Or not after the podcast, just like whenever my channel's live. But thank you guys for tuning in and watching. I'm glad that all of the hosts are here today. This is usually the format that we'll be running it with. But it's been a blast. What are you doing? He's like kissing towards the camera, Jake.
Do you have to call me out?
I do.
Is that really? I get that it's your prerogative as a human being with eyes, but can't you just let like the chat enjoy it?
I looked you dead in the eyes and you kissed.
Hannah's
towards
touching
me.
her nose. Make fun of her.
Yeah, she always picks her nose. We can't help it.
Oh my god. We can't.
But thank you guys for watching so much. We will be live next Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you guys would like to watch it live, you can find us on Twitter at @defaultyfew, just like that. We are also on Apple Music, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Play now. So you just need to type in the Faulty Few podcast and you will find episode 1 uploaded there. And we usually upload on Thursdays, the day after the podcast is up. Sometimes Wednesday nights. You guys can check for updates on our Twitter for that stuff, though. But thank you guys again so much for watching. We appreciate
and
you.
if you guys are interested in discussing any of this further, please follow our Twitters on the screen and tweet at us. I would love to have a
Yeet.
conversation with you guys.
Definitely, man.
Absolutely.
You can find
And
all those.
if you think that Majora's Mask is not the best Legend of Zelda games, please, I will prove you wrong.
My
Oh,
gosh.
shit.
I'm gonna fight
I
He's
will
someone.
also
fight you.
fighter for the #1 position of Animal Crossing fan. So
True.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in tonight.
Thanks for watching. Love you.
Give a happy
Bye-bye.
wave. I want you to wave. There it is. There's the wave. Smile and wave, boys. All right, good night.